Well, I'm out of the VCR, and again, this is where Roxy would be saying, "Hey, I'm Roxy," but she isn't. She hasn't left me, so quit it. She has not left. But here's the thing. Down here last week, we had suffered through a hurricane, Hurricane Beryl, and what's happening is that he is without power and kind of recovering from that. So a lot of people down here in Houston have been without power. This is day 8, and there are about 500K plus people who still do not have power. It's ridiculous. I was very fortunate, and I got power 3 days after the hurricane, but there are thousands upon thousands without. So prayers go out to them. Roxy, unfortunately, is one of those and just kind of needs a breather, and totally understood. So that is why Roxy's not here, and we want to give a special thanks to all the linemen and crew members who are out there trying to get our utilities going. But Centerpoint absolutely sucks. If you don't understand what that means, Google it, find out. Centerpoint is the worst. That's just my opinion. But we're not here to be political. No, we're here to get smart. Literally. So today we're taking on the TV show Get Smart. So what is Get Smart? Well, it was a 1960s television show, ran from 1965 to 1970. It starred Don Adams as Agent 86, Maxwell Smart. So you get the Get Smart, so you got to go get Smart, Mr. Maxwell Smart. The interesting thing about the character Maxwell Smart is he's not very smart. He is just the most inept spy ever, and it's a comedy. It's an American sitcom comedy that was taking place during the Cold War. So you had a lot of paranoia going on, a lot of spies, all this other good stuff. And so it was the right sitcom at the right time to kind of, at that time, lift America's spirits with all the craziness that was going on with what was the Cold War. Now, the Cold War basically goes from the end of World War II up until 1989, the fall of the Berlin Wall. So that is how many years expanded. And Get Smart was one of these TV shows that came out and brought a little laughter to what was very serious and very tense moments between America and the Soviet Union. So that's your background history. So moving on. Maxwell Smart is Agent 86, as I said, and he is totally incompetent spy, always getting himself into trouble and always just as clueless as anyone. Um, well played by Don Adams, and he has this really charming ability to bring out this goofy, dorky spy who thinks he's just as smart as anything, but in reality is just a buffoon and always getting him and his agency into trouble. Now, a little bit more about the TV show. Here's a little something you may not have known about the TV show. For those of you who know what I'm talking about, Get Smart, no joke, is the brainchild of the legendary Mel Brooks. Yes, the actor, comedian, playwright, director, creator of just about everything that's funny, Mr. Mel Brooks. So those of you who aren't sure who Mel Brooks is, and if you don't know who he is, my God, you are just a sad individual. Let me tell you that. Let me go ahead and kind of show you who Mel Brooks is. This is Mel Brooks. He's still alive. He's still great, still creating wonderful things. And he is responsible for some of the more delightful movies and TV shows out there, such as Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, Spaceballs, The Producers, Robin Hood Men in Tights, History of the World Part 1, recently did Part 2. I'm not sure what his involvement was in robots, but, High Anxiety, Dracula Dead and Loving It, silent movie. He has created so many movies and so many Broadway shows as well. He's also a composer. For those of you who don't know this, he composes a lot of the music that you see in his movies. So that classical one that you hear in Young Frankenstein, the violin, that was composed by Mel Brooks. So this genius of a man created the TV show Get Smart with another man named Henry Buck. But Mel Brooks, that's who I'm focusing on. So that's a little bit about Mel Brooks. He recently turned 98, so happy birthday, Mel Brooks, if you ever listen to this show. Yay! So that is the brainchild behind this fascinating TV show. However, here's something also interesting about the whole TV show Get Smart. It inspired a lot of interesting things. So let me give you a little bit about the plot on Get Smart. So, Get Smart is again dopey agent, Agent 86, right? And he works for a super secret government agency that no one knows about except for Washington. And the name of that agency is Control. And they fight their arch enemy, the evil terrorist organization, KAOS. So you see what Control, KAOS. Um, Everyone, a lot of fans for the longest we're trying to figure out what control meant because control was spelled in a way which indicated that was abbreviated, so it might stand for something. And then same thing with chaos. So what did control and chaos meant? And in reality, it meant nothing. It was done that way to be visually appealing. Control is the good guys. We're in control and we are doing things to maintain control so everything is all nice and right in the world, and chaos is all into destruction and terrorism and all this other stuff. So it's just, a play on words. It makes you think it stands for something, but it really doesn't. So it's just control and chaos. They're the opposite of each other and they're going at each other. And so that is kind of the whole thing between what that is. So that's just a little bit about it. A lot of fans had tried to figure out what it stood for, but in reality, it didn't stand for anything. Much like something else. Let's get into this other thing. So Max has a partner in crime, the lovely Agent 99. So 99 is this very beautiful agent, and she is really the sex appeal of the show because you look at everyone else, but uh, Agent 99 is the sex appeal. Now, the interesting thing about 99, and let me get back to doing what I do and share screen with you, is what I would normally doing with Roxy, but she's not here, so ha ha ha. Agent 99, played by the absolutely beautiful Barbara Feldon. All right, so but this is Barbara Feldon, her looking all smoky and smoldery here in this little photo. But here's the thing. You see this really interesting, colorful uh bit of art. This ended up on TV Guide. Now, the interesting thing about this bit of pop art here is it was created by the famous artist Andy Warhol. So Andy Warhol did this whole little art thing with Barbara Feldon, and then it ends up on TV Guide. Now, Barbara Feldon herself, because she was so attractive, ends up on the cover of TV Guide about six different times, maybe seven. But she was just absolutely gorgeous. Andy Warhol did quite a bit of work with her, and this is just one of the more famous pop arts that she kind of did. Here's a few more down here. And as you can tell, a lot of this is very much Andy Warhol style and work. He's also famous for that painting of the Campbell's tomato soup can. Um, he did a lot of rock album covers as well. So this is just a little bit about it. Agent 99, Mrs. Barbara Feldon. Let's kind of zoom in on her really quick. Look how lovely she is. Now, the interesting thing about 99 is this. No one knows what her name is. So the character Agent 99, her name is never divulged. She has never been given a name. That's one of the ongoing jokes that, Max had called her like a name and she's like, "Oh, Max, you've never called me that before, considering it's not my name," type of thing. So, uh, and he never I guess knows what her name is either, which is kind of weird because the only thing we really know about her is like later on in the TV series, what ends up happening is that Max and 99 end up developing this love affair and they get married. So the only true thing that we know about her name is at some point later on, Agent 99 becomes Mrs. Smart. So we know at some point her last name is Smart, but that's the only bit of her name that we know. Other than that, every season it is Agent 99. So her name, for all practical purposes, could be 99. We never know. It's just one of those weird things, one of those clever little things that I guess Mel Brooks did, and absolutely brilliant because a lot of fans try to figure out, well, what is her name? And the truth is, we'll never know. She never had one. So even Barbara Feldon it's just Agent 99. And, Barbara Feldon again was the sex appeal on the show. Because really, other than every now and then you catch a woman, she's really the only woman on the show. Now, here's the other thing about Agent 99 and Barbara Feldon. After 99 and Max get married, they go on to, have this secret agent husband wife, relationship type of thing. But she ends up having a baby, and she has not a baby, but two babies. She has twins. This was revolutionary at the time because what happens is she doesn't give up her job. She continues to work and be a mother. So at that time, that was unheard of. Nowadays, that's not a big deal. That's expected. Hey, you poop out a few kids and it's like, hey, you still got to go to work. That's how the bills get paid. That's how, you get these benefits to take them to the hospital when they get sick. But at that time, that was absolutely unheard of. If a TV show at the time had a mother character, that mother character stayed at home and did domestics, things like, oh, I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm taking care of the household, I'm raising the kids. There was none of this concept of, oh, I can work, be a mother at the same time. That was just revolutionary. So Agent 99 and that character is literally the first TV sitcom character to have been a mother and continue to have her job. Like I said, that's just common now. At that time, no, that just did not happen. It just really did not. There's a lot of things, unfortunately, at that time that were not happening, but that was one of the things. So it kind of broke down that wall of gender stereotypes in the sense like, oh, you need to be the June Cleaver and stay home and make meatloaf and make sure Beaver and Wally don't do bad things. That was kind of, wear pearls and, get, Ward all excited because you're vacuuming in pearls type of thing. Yeah, that was the typical stereotypical woman of that time period. So this was just I wonder how many men actually like just had a spasm because they realized, oh my God, she's not at home taking care of the kids. What a horrible mother. I just kind of wonder what what was happening at that time. Because Mel Brooks was very well known for breaking down these kind of walls and stereotypes, whether it was race or gender or religion. He just went off on everything and everyone. So made him a great, great content creator and a great creator at that time and still even to this day. But That's a little bit about 99. So let's get into some more of these very fascinating characters. Actually, no, let's skip the characters. Let's go into some of the actors. Don Adams plays Maxwell Smart, Code Agent 86. Now, Maxwell Smart is very interesting, but Don Adams is a little more interesting. So Don Adams goes on to have a rather successful career. So Get Smart ends. He continues to do the Maxwell Smart character in commercials, things like that. You know, a lot of these old school commercials kind of refer back to Maxwell Smart. But then there is this revival of Get Smart. So then later on, they get Smart again, which was a TV show. So they kind of later, much later, I think Fox picks it up. It was originally started on NBC, ends up on Fox with Get Smart again, and it failed. It didn't do very well, partly because too much time had passed and it wasn't the same kind of comedy, because you can't do Mel Brooks comedy and then try to recreate Mel Brooks comedy. It has to be Mel Brooks. So I think that was part of it. Not another thing is like there was a lot of gaping questions in the revival of Get Smart Again, in the sense that uh, in the original series, Max and 99 have twins, and then in Get Smart Again, they have this thing where the son works for Control as well, who's played by Andy Dick, by the way, so that could explain why it failed. But but the other issue here is they don't explain whatever happened to the twin daughter. It's just, oh, our son who works here with us at Control happens to be Andy Dick, and no mention of what happened to the daughter there. So apparently some things were not thought out and not really well kept up with, which caused it to be a stinker for, Fox. But anyway, moving backwards, there were other little revivals of Maxwell Smart where they had like these reunion type of shows and things like that. However, Don Adams, getting a little bit away from Maxwell Smart, ends up on another kind of spy show here that some of us will remember, especially if you're my age. And that is Inspector Gadget. Haha. Maxwell Smart, or Don Adams, becomes the voice of Inspector Gadget for the entire run of the show, even bringing in some of the references and all this other good stuff. But yeah, that was kind of that. He also every now and then voiced Claw, from my understanding. Not sure why, but he did. But he was mostly the voice of Inspector Gadget, and they replaced 99 with Penny, his niece. It's very clever. It's a kids' cartoon spy show, so it was very enjoyable, very fun. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's just goofy kids TV, all right? It's a cartoon, but he was the voice for that. And he did voiceover work for other things as well. So he had a pretty good career. And the reason I say that or mention things like that is a lot of times actors from this time period or even the 80s, they will actually, even nowadays, they'll become like a one-hit wonder. Like, oh, they were on this hit TV show and then you never hear from them again. It's like they never went on to do anything else. No one picked them up. They couldn't, that's basically it. Their career is over with. So the fact that he spanned over a couple of, shows is pretty impressive. Most actors who can do that, there's not a whole lot of them who did that. Even going that far back, I think one of the few that who I can think of is like, you have Ed O'Neill, starts off on Family with Married with Children, ends up in movies, comes back for another mega hit show, which was Modern Family. Not most actors don't get two mega hit shows or even one mega hit show. So the fact that he did Get Smart, and then ends up doing Inspector Gadget. That's kind of a big deal, especially for actors, um, because not all of them make it that way. So just a little correlation I wanted to throw out there for you. But another interesting thing about Get Smart is Get Smart inspires some very interesting technological innovations. Let me go back and do what I do and share screen with you because I'm so cool. So anyway, one of the interesting uh innovations here is this. The shoe phone. So Maxwell Smart, because it's a spy movie, because they're kind of making fun of spies and what they do, uh, one of Max's shoes is a phone. So here's the receiver and where you listen, and there's your little dial pad, same for 99. But part of the thing with the show is that it does something kind of interesting. And the shoe phone was pretty famous for the communication devices for the TV show Get Smart. However, they used a lot of really weird everyday items as communication devices, including the watch and the pins, and also like Max would pull out his tie and it would be a communication device. There was an episode where they used, out of all things, a Bunsen burner to communicate with other departments. The phone would ring, and then they would pick up the Bunsen burner, and the flame would be on, and he would be talking in it, and then the flame would accidentally go out because he's breathing into it, and it would be like the phone would be disconnected. So it was kind of funny. They'd have to relight it to get the communications back up. But that was kind of the cleverness and silliness of Get Smart. They did things like that. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is because it ends up doing something kind of interesting. It ends up kind of inspiring the first trails or the first kind of like beginnings of smartphones. Like, no joke, it really does. You know, it's amazing how TV has inspired a lot of different technologies that we have now. The concept of like being able to talk into your wristwatch was something that came out from a comic book. It was Dick Tracy. He had a communicator watch that had a little screen, and it was basically like what we can do with our smartwatches nowadays. But that was at some point someone's, fever dream in a comic book. That's how that came about and ends up inspiring this kind of technology. The Bluetooth, back in the day, we used to wear Bluetooth in our ears, and that was inspired by Star Trek and Ahora's earpiece because, that's was her communicator. So, that was where the Bluetooth came from. Some smartphones were also inspired, the flip phone from Star Trek and the communicator device that Kirk would use, or any of them would use, like beam me up, Scotty, that type of thing. So it's amazing how this kind of inspires that, but it can be said that Maxwell Smart's weird communication devices inspired the concept of the smartphone. Whereas like almost anything could be a communication device. And it was really interesting, really, really interesting. Um, so it was just weird things. The cone of silence, they had this thing where like this glass thing would come over two people and no one else could hear the conversation except for the two people inside the glass bubble. It was just ridiculous, but this is what it was meant to be. Now, Get Smart was a very big deal when it came out. It was a huge success. It was so successful that, no joke, A-list celebrities were trying to get on there just just to be seen on the show. And they may have been on there just for a couple of seconds type of situation. Um, no joke, Mr. Spock, Leonard Nimoy, the original, not the new guy. Mr. Spock, Leonard Nimoy, was a guest on Get Smart. So was Vincent price. Johnny Carson, the famous talk show host or late night talk show host, Mr. Johnny Carson appeared on Get Smart twice. People were really clamoring to go. Carol Burnett was on this show as well. So a lot of guest stars pop up in the TV show Get Smart as just like random little characters or little two-bit pieces. Some of them did the whole show type of thing. I know Carol Burnett did. I think Vincent Price did as well, and so did Leonard Nimoy. But some of them were just walk-on roles, like Johnny Carson and all these others. They were just like, "Oh, hey, I'm the ticket taker," or something like that. But everyone was trying to get booked on the TV show Get Smart because it was a huge deal, going back to the way it was making fun of, the situation between these two government agencies, the good one and the foreign bad one, which at the time, again, Cold War, huge deal, and was just influencing everything. And Mel Brooks found that and was able to kind of make that terror into something more comical. So, potato, potato. But the thing is, it all comes down to the fact that Mel Brooks is an absolute genius. That's, really, really all I can say is that Mel Brooks is a total genius for even doing that. He just kind of creates some of the best stuff ever. So, going into it just a little bit. So, what ends up happening a little bit later on, Mr. Don Adams ends up passing away in 2005 of a lung infection. Um, Barbara Feldon, the other main, well, the actress in there, ends up, let's see, when does she pass away? She passed away in, huh. It's not telling me. How dare it not tell me? Why would you not tell me? Actually, it may be that she is still alive. I'm over here thinking that she passed away and she's probably still alive because it says nothing about her passing away. So, yeah, there you go. So Barbara Feldon's probably still alive and I'm over here just, making crap up. But that's just me because I'm just weird like that. So those are your two main actors. There's a lot of great actors in Get Smart, but like I said, 99 and 86 were your main characters. But that is a little bit about the show Get Smart. The only other thing I could really tell you about the show is that it is a spoof, not just of the tensions that were happening in the Cold War, but it's a spoof of, things such as the James Bond spy kind of characters, the Man from Uncle show. It's just comedy about these very more serious spy situations like James Bond, like the Man from Uncle, which were much more serious, TV shows about spies, The Saint, and then it's this goofy comedy poking fun of those kind of things and kind of laughing at what was a very tense situation for America at that time. So that's kind of the other thing is, a part of Don Adams' inspiration is, he kind of combines the character of James Bond and Inspector Clouseau and puts them together, and it becomes Agent 86, which is kind of funny to think about. But one of the things that they keep going in this type of situation is like almost every season he has a new spy car. They used a Ferrari, they used a Buick, they used a Volkswagen, but the sports editions of these things, well, Ferrari is just sports, period. But they used a Buick, which I forget which one it was, but it was kind of like their version of the s- Corvette Stingray, very sleek pimped out looking vehicle. So one of the things that they kind of goof on is the fact that spies have these luxurious, gorgeous speed demon cars. And, even that is kind of a joke because the things that the cars could do, like the whole ejector seats and, oil slicks, and they would use it in comedic type of ways. It was just ridiculous. But it was always some type of sleeked out car. So it all kind of took the whole James Bond look at my fancy amazing car and what it can do and made fun of things like that, which was pretty cool. Um, and like I said, Mel Brooks got away with it. Mel Brooks did it. It was just incredible. But that's a little bit about Get Smart. I hope you found this entertaining. Do me a favor, click like if you like it. Let me know what you think because it's just me. I don't have Roxy to back and forth with. So I need a back and forth with my audience. So tell me, what do you think? Give me some haha moments, all that other good stuff. And if you continue to like things like Get Smart and the Monkeys episode, let me know. I'll throw in a few more retro TV shows or even some retro music, but let me know because I don't know unless we have to communicate. We're in this relationship and I need you to communicate with me. Okay? All right. Because I love you and I can't do it without you. I need you to need me, to need you, so we can do this. All right, so until next time, I'm Vada. Check out our social medias, which will be Twitter and Instagram, the VCR Show, our website, thevcrshow.com. You can follow Roxy at all her social medias, which I'm not about to list. If she wanted them listed, she should have been on the show. So yeah. And you can also follow me. If you want to follow me on Facebook, because I don't have a Facebook page for the show, I should really have a Facebook page for the show. But if you want to follow me myself on Facebook, you can follow me at Christopher Vada at Facebook. So, find me, add me. That's my real name. If for those of you who are just used to Roxy saying, "Oh, Vada, Vada, Vada," uh, it's Christopher. Part of my name is Christopher. So you can find me at Christopher Vada on Facebook, and you can also email us to the VCR at gmail.com. And as always, I'm Vada. This is not Roxy. And you've been listening to VCR. Bye-bye. You have been listening to VCR, creative content by Richard Christopher Vada and Roxy Perez. Logo by Richard Christopher Vada with assistance from Annie Ramirez. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach us at thevcrshow at gmail.com or our social medias at Instagram and Twitter at The VCR Show. And you can also check out our content at thevcrshow.com. The show's song is Addict by Nefex, instrumental, and you can find them on YouTube Music Library.